Hello. This is a hopefully short video to answer the question of how to extract icons from the system software on classic macOS. And in this case, I've got macOS 904 running in Sheepshaver. This would also work going back at least into System 7. Once you get into System 6, color icons stop being quite so important. I know System 6 technically did support color, but for the main problem statement is there are icons in the system software that we want to extract, and particularly we want to extract them to a modern format like PNG. Like, if we were partying like it's 1999, we could paste them into the scrapbook, but we're not interested in picked resources. We want, a file in a modern format that like we could post on Mastodon or embed in a web page or something. And we don't want to just take a screenshot. There's color space issues. There's, where is the actual dimensions of the image? There's knocking out a mask or an alpha channel. Ideally, we want to extract the original version of the image and convert that to PNG as losslessly, as faithfully as possible. So here's how we do that. First question, of course, is how are the icons stored? Most of them are in the System Suitcase. Pre-System 7, it was the system file, but it's the same thing. They just started calling it a suitcase. And there's a lot of interesting resources in here. There's color cursors. There's black and white cursors. Usually the all uppercase resource types are the older ones. So like CURS, all caps, is the older black and white one that goes all the way back to the earliest versions. The lowercase CRSR is color because it's newer, right? And like, there's often pairs like that where there's a black and white type like icon. Notice it's all uppercase because it's an older type, right? These are all black and white icons. And correspondingly, you have a lowercase type because it's newer, which is the color icons. And when they correspond like this, there are generally matched pairs with the same ID. So, not actually in this case. Well, there's a few of them. Like, icon ID 0 and color icon ID 0, right? And ID 1 and ID 2. And the Apple share icon. And that's actually pretty much it for these two icon types. There's another set of types like that, which are the icon family types. And these are ICN hash, which in resource types, that pound sign or hash symbol means a list of things. So like, you've got the string resources and the string list resources. Like, you could literally read that hash symbol as list. So like, this is a string resource, right? There's one string. Each of these resources is one string. Whereas the string list resources, well, there's quite a few strings in here, right? And it's just a matter of how the programmers decided they wanted to organize the icons. Another matched pair here, we have pat and ppat, pat list and ppat list, where, in both of these cases, we have the black and white, we have the color, black and white, color, right? So going back to icons, so we get the icon family, right? So we got icon list, small icon list. And both of these are black and white. And then we have large icon 4-bit, small icon 4-bit. Large icon 8-bit, small icon 8-bit. And there's actually there's a couple more. These three, I forget what M stands for. And I don't remember what size it corresponds to. But ICNS, those who do a lot of modern macOS or macOS 10 programming will recognize ICNS. It's the modern or relatively modern icon family format, where each of these ICNS resources is a complete icon family with multiple representations in it, right? So you could literally copy out the contents of one of these resources, save it as a .icns file, take it to a modern macOS machine, and it'll be able to read it, because that's the icon format used on modern macOS. But before that, in the classic macOS days, we had the icon families, right? So these are the quote-unquote large, which means 32 by 32, as opposed to small, which is 16 by 16, 8-bit icons. And later on, there was another size which was called huge, and that was actually 48 by 48. That was brought over from Next Step and made its first appearance on the Mac in macOS 8.5. And is still supported today, as are these. All of these sizes are still supported today, although the 4 and 8-bit representations and the black and white aren't really supported anymore. Because since some version where they drop those older formats, it just wants everything to be, RGB. So these are the large 8-bit icons. And if I open up one of these, here's the System Suitcase, and ResEdit actually goes and pulls the other icon resource types with the same ID. So like, we started with large icon 8-bit minus 16494, which is the System Suitcase icon. Icon list 16494 is the same icon, but in black and white. And there's also the 4-bit version, which they didn't actually make a 4-bit version, so it's just the black and white one again. And the icon list resource, you might notice, like, all of these do not indicate that they are a list except for icon list and small icon list, right? Well, that's because each of the black and white resources actually contains 2 icons. The other one is the mask. And you can tell this if you ever create like a large 8-bit icon. The minute you start editing the mask for it, it creates the black and white icon resource to go with it, because that's where the mask lives. So let's say we want to extract this one, right? We want the System Suitcase icon. In this case, we don't need ResEdit at all. And by the way, this is a copy of the System Suitcase that I copied to the desktop. I'm not working on the one that's in my system folder, because if I were, ResEdit would yell at me, basically warning me not to do that. For good reasons, although as long as I'm not going to make changes, it's safe enough. But for the sake of convenience, I made a copy, and I'm going to work on that. So if I take the System Suitcase and drop it onto GraphicConverter, that's not what I expected it to do. Okay, let's try this. Open, filter resource. It's not what I did earlier either. Here we go. So yeah, you want open, filter resource, and then open up the system file. And then you get this, right? So you get the ICNS resources, which unlike ResEdit, GraphicConverter can actually show you. And so you can see these are, 32-bit, 48 by 48 icons. But there's not very many of them, right? And then you quickly get into the large 8-bit icons, which are the 32 by 32 8-bit color. And a lot of these are like file icons or document icons, especially in an application where it'll generally be the application icon and any document types that it has. But for the System Suitcase, we have all of these special folder icons and like the trash icon, stationery pad, CD-ROM, there's an addition file, RAM disk, etc., etc., etc. So here's that System Suitcase that we were looking at, right? So if I take this, so you can see we've got the System Suitcase, we've got the transparent background behind it, we're good. And so I can save a copy as PNG. I'm going to add the color profile into it, although that's actually going to be fairly meaningless because it's not going to keep it as index color when there's a mask because it's going to need to convert to 32-bit to with an alpha channel to represent the mask. So I'm going to call that System Suitcase ICL8. See? The image has a mask 1-bit, but the selected file format, PNG, supports only alpha at 32-bit. Should the image be converted to 32-bit with alpha? Yes. And by the way, you can still download GraphicConverter from Lemkesoft's website, and they give you a free license because they don't want to sell software for Mac OS 9 anymore. So that's what I'm using. So, okay, that's a large icon. But the original request was for the Apple logo icon that's used for the menu bar. And this is also a resource that lives in the system file. But, okay, we got ICL8, ICN hashtags, because this is the icon, the black and white icon list. Here's icon. These are the non-file family icons. Color icon. And then we get PPAT and picked. There are no ICS8 icons in this list. But we know they're there, right? Like, I can open this up in ResEdit and open up the ICS8 type, and hey, there's all these icons here that GraphicConverter just isn't showing us. GraphicConverter is arguably making the assumption that if there is an ICL8, therefore there must also be an ICS8, but that isn't true. For file icons, that generally does hold. Like all of these icons, like shared library and the fonts folder and a generic suitcase and a preferences file, all of these are large icons that also have a small counterpart. So like, here's the generic suitcase icon. That's negative 3970, right? And here's negative 3970. And, you know, every representation is here that existed at that time. So that's the assumption that GraphicConverter is making, that, like, if I want the icon for a font suitcase, it can just list the ICL8, and it doesn't need to also list, you know, every other version that's in here, including the small version. And, you know, for a complete family like that, that makes sense. Although then it turns around and lists the black and white version, so go figure. But some of these don't exist in a large format, because some of them don't make sense to, because they might be for, say, the menu bar. So, like, here's the caps lock icon that's used on certain PowerBooks. There's a key icon that I think has to do with Power Talk or something. The help button icon. I don't think this is used for the Finder icon, but I'm not entirely sure. And anyway, there's our Apple menu icon, right? So, okay, I'm going to open this up. Now, you might first think, well, okay, if I copy the resource, then go over to GraphicConverter, image using Clipboard. Oh, it's not enabled. Okay, fine then. So what you actually have to do, you kind of have to do it the Cave Dweller way. Select all, copy, and then you do new image using Clipboard. So okay, now we've got our Apple menu icon, but it's got a white background. We don't have the transparent mask. Like you can see in ResEdit's preview, it puts it on this checkerboard gray background, and you can see where the masked out area of the icon lets the background show through. We don't get that in what we just copied and pasted into GraphicConverter because I just copied the ICS 8-bit map, but not the mask. So then we need to do the mask second. So I'm going to select the mask, select all, and copy. Go over to GraphicConverter. So this is a little bit tricky, so you pay close attention to what we're doing here. So we've got our picture that currently has no alpha channel, no mask, nothing. It's just color pixels, indexed color in this case. So we go to the picture menu, down to alpha channel, add alpha/mask channel. Oh wait, where'd my picture go? Well, hold on a minute. When we added the alpha channel, it added a blank alpha channel that lets absolutely nothing of the picture show through. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing absolutely nothing of the picture because that's what the blank alpha channel says to show. So we need to switch over to looking at the alpha channel itself. So alpha channel, show alpha/mask channel. And now we're seeing the alpha channel, which is completely white. It's kind of backwards relative to Photoshop and Affinity, where here a white pixel it's the same as in ResEdit actually. So you see how a black pixel is show the icon and a white pixel is show the background. So that's what we've got here in GraphicConverter, where this is all white, right? So it's showing all background. So we want to paste, so we copied the mask from ResEdit, right? Copy. And then we go over to GraphicConverter. We've got our alpha channel selected. We're showing our alpha channel, right? And then we paste here into the alpha channel. So there's our mask. And you notice there in the title bar, it says indexed plus mask because we added the alpha channel. So now we can go hide alpha/mask channel. And now we can see we've got the Apple logo with the background masked out. This is what we want. This is the extracted version of the icon from ICS 8 and the mask from ICS list. Okay. So now we can save a copy as, and I'm going to name this Apple logo 904.png. Okay. And again, it warns us the image has a mask, but the selected file format supports only alpha at 32-bit. Yes, we want to convert it to 32-bit with an alpha channel. Okay. So now we can close the system file and our document, which we don't actually need the GraphicConverter document. We just want the PNG. Okay. And in this case, since I'm using Sheep Shaver, now I would copy that through the Unix volume here, which I have set to point to a local folder on my real system. So I would copy that PNG file to that, and then it exists out in the real world, and I could, put it in my website or post it to Mastodon or whatever. On real hardware, you could put that PNG file on a thumb drive or, upload it via SFTP or something. But once you've got that PNG file, then you've got it. And then here's my Finder window from the real world with that extracted PNG file. And you can see in the way the modern Finder displays it, the alpha channel masks out the background. So that is how you do it. And just to reinforce that, I'm going to go extract another one. I guess we could do the macOS icon. Okay, so copy that. New with Clipboard. Copy the mask. Add alpha channel. Show alpha channel. Paste. hide the alpha channel, save as a PNG. I'm going to save this to the desktop. All right. There you have it.